there! So in this video we're going to be talking about how to use the Preview app, which is native to the Macintosh computer platform, to resize and crop your photos. So the great thing about Preview is that if you have a Mac, it most likely came installed already on your Mac when you bought it. So you can do a search on your computer for the Preview app, or you may find that in your dock it's already there, and you can see this is what the logo for it looks like. It's a few photos stacked. Now I have my settings set so that when I open up an image it automatically opens in Preview, but if you don't have that image set, what you can do is just drag your photo onto Preview and that will open it here. So one thing I wanted to mention before we get into resizing and cropping is that if you're working with an original photo, it's always a great idea to make a duplicate so that you have an original version. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One way is from your file, you can control click, and you can, if you control click with your mouse, you can hit duplicate and that will create a copy. Another option is if you open it in Preview, you can go to File, and Duplicate is actually an option here as well. So you can do it on your desktop or you can do it within the app. So I will close the original one and now we're working with the new one. Kind of a nice thing about viewing in Preview, you can see if you move your window larger and smaller, it automatically kind of shifts, which I don't like. I like to view my images at their true size. So you can get to view true size two different ways. You can click on View up here, and you can select actual size. You can say it zips it down to its actual size. Another way to get to actual size is if you have on your keyboard, you can do Command 0, and that should take you back to its original size. So the first thing we're going to talk about is cropping. So I find this very intuitive in Preview. You should see by default when you open it, your mouse here, if you hover it over the image, turns into like a plus sign. And if you just click and drag, it's literally as simple as clicking, dragging, and letting go where you want your crop selection. Now I love how you can drag this around. You can, any of these blue dots, you can drag the corner and do this. And once I've got this exactly cropped how I want to, I can either press Command K on your keyboard if you are into keyboard shortcuts, or you can go up here and click on Tools and hit Crop. And that's it. And after that, it would just be a matter of saving and quitting, and you now have your cropped version. Now let's say you did a crop and you didn't do it quite right. You can at any time go up, click Edit, and select Undo Crop. I usually use Command Z as a keyboard shortcut for that, and you could start again. The next thing we're going to talk about is resizing your image. So from your original view, if you click Tools and select Adjust Size, this window opens. Now this gives us a couple pieces of information. It tells us the width in pixels, the height in pixels, and the resolution. Now, I have these set on pixels and pixels per inch, which I believe is the default, but if you see something else, if you are editing an image for the web, which most of us are most of the time, I would say change that to pixels, change this to pixels per inch. For resolution, you may find that if you open up a photo that was given to you from a photographer for a photo shoot, for example, it's probably going to be 300 in here. The resolution really doesn't need to be any bigger than 72 for the web. So if you are creating an image to upload to the web on social media or an account or profile or whatever, change that to 72. Here we have options to change either the width or the height. Now the way this works is that these are connected. This means that if I change the width to 500, the height is going to automatically change so it stays proportionate. Now, do you have the option to unlink these? Yes, if you click this lock icon, I can then change this to 500 and the other stays the same. Now, we wouldn't actually want to do this, and I'll show you why. This will basically ruin the proportions of your image. So I'll undo that. So when you're doing adjust size, you just want to make sure that that lock symbol is locked so that these stay in proportion. Now, sometimes it makes more sense to change the width, sometimes it makes more sense to change the height. Typically, when I am changing the dimensions of a photo, there is both resizing and cropping involved. And I would recommend to you that you change the width or height and then complete with your cropping. Now, which to do first? Let's say that I want to crop this into 600 by 600 square. I've been told, okay, I've got this image, I have to crop it, and it needs to be 600 by 600 square. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is go to adjust size, and I'm going to change one of these to 600. Now, if I change the width to 600, what happens? The height is now way too low, and I'm not going to be able to make it any bigger. So, better for me to change the height to 600, and then I'm going to crop the width down after I change the dimensions. So you're basically changing either the height or the width to what it needs to be, and then you do your cropping of the other value, whether it's height or width. So if I hit OK, it's shifted just a touch. Now another neat element of preview is that if I select this, I can see over here in the lower right hand corner it's telling me the dimensions. It's saying this is 1066 by 600. Now, if I select this, you can see that height in my little dimension preview. The height stays 600, right? But the width is changing as I move my mouse, and I can change it to 600. Now I have the selection, and I can put it wherever I want to crop to 600. Now, would it actually make sense to crop this image to 600? No, this is just for a tutorial purpose. So let's say I want it right here. I crop. And now you can see when I select this, it's 600 by 600, exactly what I wanted it to be. So by using resizing and cropping, you can really basically create your images into any size and dimension that they need to be.